Hi again, it's Sherry. This is part 3. Welcome to the summary of Chapter 2, MK Ultra, in the book of Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall. This is the second part to Chapter 2. I had to break that up into 2 videos. So, if you're here, thank you. You're back. This is an interesting book that will benefit you and has information, again, that you need to know. So thank you for your time. And I know you're busy and your time is valuable, and so is the information in this book. You are going to love it. You are going to benefit from it, from having sat for just a few moments with me and get some really great information on, Chapter 2, the last half. It's mind control. All right? Who doesn't want to know about mind control? You want to know so that it can't be used against you. You know? Let me help you. Let the doctor help you. Let me summarize what he said. You know, he would know. He's a doctor and he's done tons of research. So anyways, let's pool collectively and let's learn together, shall we? All right. It's late at night. This is the 3rd video. If you guys are still up watching this as I'm doing them, thank you. Thank you. We're doing it together, right? A little bit about me for those of you who don't know me is, again, I'm a word nerd. I like to read a lot, so I figured the best way I can give back, since I read so much and I read a lot of nonfiction, self-help type books with good information, and I'd like to share that as I learn. That's the kind thing to do. It's the wise thing to do. So let me share with you. Again, I'm summarizing Chapter 2, second half. MK Ultra is the name of the chapter, and it's a book. It's in a book called Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall. All right, I'll be brief. This is going to be like actually one of my favorite chapters, and I think you'll enjoy it too. It is so fascinating. During the video, you might see me looking down to the right. That's because that's where my notes are. So I have to look there. So if it comes across, I don't know how it's coming across on camera, but that's why I'm looking, because that's where my notes are. All right, so the key points I'll just brief you from last time. Chapter 2 covered the history, again, of the whole MK Ultra program, MK standing for mind control, K for the German K in control, instead of the English C. Now it's rumored to be called, actually, wait, hang on a second. Hold on. Let's, before we go any further, let's start it off right. So you know where I'm getting some of this information. It's not just me, out here blabbing or, thinking I know things and I don't. I do a lot of research. This isn't the only book that I've read on this subject. I've read many out of necessity. You never know how much of an expert you can become in something until you actually have the need to be. And then, yeah, poof. So these books, if you're going through things, we'll get to that later. But anyways, just in general, it's a great book for everybody, really, because you never know when you could become the next guinea pig, and it's all non-consensual. So they don't really ask you, you want to be a guinea pig? Oh, no. They just kind of do it. So anyways, pardon me with my hair here. Let me show you the book, the cover of the book, what we're talking about, what we're summarizing. It is Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall. Guinea Pigs. There's the cover of the book in case you should want to buy a copy for yourself. It's $7.99 on Kindle, or you can order it a hard copy through Amazon for about $10 to $20, used or new. It ships pretty quickly, or you can try to check it out at your local library. And I know from experience, because again, I like going to the library, they will actually order it for you. And if there's enough of a demand for it, they will order a fresh copy. Okay, they can do that. I didn't know that either, but it's wonderful. Okay, so that's where we're referencing. In Chapter 2 is all about MK Ultra. So again, that's the stands for mind control. That's the name of the program when it first started up here in the United States as a carryover from World War II, Operation Paperclip. Covered that in the last video, so we're not going to go over that again. The goal, one of the things that they focused on a lot with experimentation and using human guinea pigs is, of course, mind control, because really if you can control the mind, you can control the body. We'll get into that, but that's what they've been wanting to do for a long time, is control the human mind, because it's so wonderful that and to control it means you don't have to control the body. So what do you say? Buy one, get one, a BOGO, you know? So yeah, so we talked about that, how mind control and behavior modification are basically the same thing. We can, let's just cover that briefly. Well, again, the name of the program started out as MKUltra. It supposedly was done away with in the 70s. However, rumoredly, allegedly, it still exists, and it's under a new name. I'll show you my little picture. Ta-da-da! That's a monarch butterfly. And that's allegedly the name of the new mind control program, standing for the monarch butterfly, because you can transform after trauma to become a beautiful butterfly, mind control slave. They don't include that part, you know, butterfly, mind control slave, really. Okay, potato, potato. Now you know why language is so important. Okay, so the goal of, well, the goal is always, I'm going to show you what they're using this process. Human guinea pig, that's right. You see, she's there in a hospital gown. She's got a little water bottle. She's a human guinea pig. Could be a he too, but for that picture it was a she. So that's something that you don't want to be a part of. But since they don't ask, how can you know how to say no? And will they accept your no? Probably not, right? So we got to figure out how to stop it ourselves. All right, so human guinea pigs, and with a focus on this guy, this girl. Yes, the brain. Forget, you know, anything else, gold, silver, you know, power. This is hot on the market today. Getting a hold of this and enslaving it. It always has been. Okay? The brain, the human brain. Alrighty. What else here? Okay, a little bit on how the human brain works, just real briefly, because remember, we're dealing with a mind control program. I want to show you something real quick. Okay, the word behavioral here you are. You guys see that? The word behavioral modification actually is the same as, it's interchangeable with the word mind control. MK, I put in quotations, you know, for the German MK program is what they call it. So yes, behavioral modification is the same thing as mind control. And I will explain why I think that. Okay. It's because the way that the mind operates is the mind has thoughts, okay, and the mind has emotions, right? That's what the mind does. When you, okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't upside down. To me, it looks upside down. It's not, okay. Anyways, the mind has thoughts and emotions, okay? All different kinds of thoughts and, you know, some pretty basic emotions that can spin off into other emotions. Once those thoughts and emotions are manifested, they turn into a behavior, an actual observable behavior. For example, you have a thought of, no, let's go with emotion, it's easier. Okay, you have an emotion of, I feel happy, right? So I'm going to sing, all right? So happy would be the emotion. Singing would be the observable behavior, okay? You're happy, so you sing, okay? Let's see, something else, a thought. I feel like I have good information to share, right? That's the thought, okay? Then, the behavior, I'm going to make a video. You see, this. You can't have one without the other. You get it? The mind includes thoughts and emotions up here, right? And then once those are manifested, those thoughts and emotions become behaviors, right? And those, so therefore, if you are controlling the mind, you are controlling the outcome, which is the manifestation of behaviors. So you're modifying behavior by controlling the mind. So it's really the same thing, correct? Right, that's where we get that from. Just wanted to point that out. I know you know because you guys are smart. I know it. I know you are. I know you're digging this. I am too. It's our brains. We all have one. You don't want yours enslaved. Do you? No, you don't. Let me help you. Let's help us. Let's help each other. Okay? Let's vibe. We're going to talk about my favorite subject, and I love this subject ever since I started learning about it. And I tell you, I am not the quickest person when it comes to like science. I had to take it obviously in school for the degree I was going for. You have to take some certain amount of science classes. I'm glad I did. But let me tell you, I didn't learn the quickest, you know. So I learned it. That's all that counts in the end, right? Yeah, because here I am. I can explain it. So, and now it's actually one of my, you know, what we're going to talk about is one of my favorite subjects. You guys are going to love it. It's late. I think I'm getting weirder as the night goes on. And I'm happy. This is really like, you guys are going to, okay. The goal of behavioral modification / mind control, right, is to make a slave. That's right. They want to make a slave. They want to enslave our brains, right? Let me show you a picture of somebody, you know, a little example of a mind control slave. Not a real person. This is a movie. You guys seen this already. I showed this in the last video. This is the Bourne identity. You get it? Bourne is a play on the word born, because when you're a mind control slave, that usually has stuff to do with, you know, disassociation. So you're being born. There's a lot of ritualistic stuff that goes into it. So you're being born into a new identity, right? The monarch. The caterpillar is turning from a caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly, mind control slave. So here you are. This is a good example. In this movie, he is displaying a specific type of mind control slave, Manchurian candidate. Those are the super soldier kind, right? You guys remember how he looked in that movie? He was looking good too, right? Yeah. Okay, that's besides the point. But he looked very healthy and very agile, and he really, I believed, you know, we all believed he was this Jason Bourne. He played that role. Yes, he did. So, Manchurian candidate, that's what he was portraying, a super soldier. Okay. That's one thing that they can turn people into when they become a mind control slave, make them kill against, you know, their better judgment for things like warfare, right? Or whatnot. Just one example. Okay, so mind control slave. There's a recipe for making a mind control slave. The mind is a beautiful thing, and it can be, they have found a way to enslave it. Don't let that freak you out, though, because there is a way to reverse that, too. There have been people, and I'm going to try to do some reviews on actually real life, you know, Jason Bourne type people, real life survivors of mind control slavery, like real deal stuff. But so don't let it scare you that just because if it happens that you can't ever be unenslaved, okay? Because the power of God is more powerful than anything else. So please remember that. And also for those of you watching these videos, you'll hear me mention God a lot, and I'm talking about the true God. I'm talking about Jehovah God, which is his name. We can do that in a video once too, but let's take it slow, shall we? Okay. But yeah, I believe in God, and he made us, and he has the final say-so over everything. And you'll notice a lot of times in this mind control abuse, they do focus a lot on satanic ritual abuse. So the people who do this also believe in God. Now, I said believe. I didn't say worship. You see the difference? They believe in God. Sure. They don't worship him. Later video. Okay. How do you make... I'm sorry, it's late, guys. I'm going to get through this, right? By the grace of God. This is an important message. All right. Mind control slave. There is a specific general recipe, more or less, that you have to follow. I'm going to show you that recipe. It includes 3 things. These, it's like, you know, here we go. And this recipe is like, I guess, any other recipe. Got it there. You can add some things, or, you know, remove some things depending if you want it spicier, you know, more vegetables, whatnot. Same thing with mind control slave. You can add extra things and, you know, subtract some things, but just like with regular recipes, you know, there's just some ingredients you gotta have, otherwise you're not gonna get your final product, which is the MK slave that they want so bad. Okay, so this is the recipe. Let me break it down. Psychological trauma-based conditioning. Trauma is anything, again, that causes pain to your mind, to your body, to your soul. Things like sexual abuse, physical abuse, anything that would hurt you or hurt your feelings. You know, that's trauma. And you can condition people with trauma, which is why sometimes if you see people that have been traumatized, you know, sometimes you see people and you just go, you know, like a coworker or somebody, you go, goodness, you know, they're just a little off. And, you know, sometimes it gets us prickly, right? Like, why are they so off? But then if you think about it, they've probably been traumatized, that they're displaying that. So just saying, try to be kind with people, because you never know what they've been through. And doing this research on this, and if you guys do some research, people go through a lot, you know, and they can manifest it in different ways in life. Okay, so, all right, so that's number 1, psychological trauma-based conditioning. That's a key ingredient. Okay, that's verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, etc. Anything to cause pain and trauma. Number 2, ritual abuse-based torture. The reason it's called a ritual is because it follows a set way of doing it. So we can get into that a little bit. I probably need to devote that's a whole lesson by itself. But we'll get into it a little bit. Actually, we already have, but we'll cover that again later. Same thing with the psychological trauma-based conditioning. We'll get into that a little bit later. What we're going to focus on for the rest of this video, and what is has become one of my favoriteest subjects in the world, is technology and the use of making an MK slave, right? You got to have all these ingredients. These are the main ones. And this one is what we're going to cover right now. Technology, specifically electromagnetic frequency. That's what the word EMF stands for. I don't know if I'm showing this right. I'm tired. I've been kind of standing in the same spot for a while. It's okay, though. It's okay. It's good. So anyways, technology, EMF-based manipulation. EMF stands for electromagnetic frequencies. Okay, and we're going to refer to that a lot. So just try to remember that one. That one's real important, if nothing else. EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. The reason electromagnetic frequencies are so important is that, let's see. Hang on, let me look at my notes and then we'll talk. Okay. We spoke about, I'm going to pull up my picture again. I really believe in the power of visual cues. They really do work. They trigger the brain. Speaking of the brain, ta-da, what do I got? Okay. So this thing, right? This is our big, beautiful brain. Oh my goodness, look at all the grooves and all that. Oh my goodness, this is us. This is your personality right here. Nowhere else on your body does your personality originate except here. You can understand why it's such a topic of research. And that's why we have to thank the good doctor for making that book and shedding light on it. He has another book out too. We'll cover later. But definitely mind control. It's all about the mind control. So we have a brain right in here. You can't see it. Sometimes I think we forget about it, right? Because, you know, with your other stuff, with your hair, with your teeth, with your body, and, you know, if your blood pressure and all that, you can like gauge those things. But with the brain, it's like, you know, we know it's there. but we don't really measure its health, or we can't see it, you know, it's a hidden organ. You know, heart too, but heart is a little bit more, you know, we take blood pressure. How do you take your brain pressure? So we don't think about it as much, but it's a living, breathing organ. It's the seed of who we are, this thing. Okay, let's talk about it. I just want to point out, I got a couple pictures of brains here. We're about to talk about brains for a moment, okay? Like those zombies back in the 80s, right? Brains. That's how these when they want you to be a guinea pig, you know, they want your brain. Give me your brain. Right? You got to try to keep them at bay. So let's talk about technology with the brains. Okay, so we're going to do a little picture session for a minute. Picture time, picture time. Remember that? I think that was, I don't know. It was a song. It's in my head. I don't know why. You know those songs you hear as a kid and they just stick themselves in there? Okay, so we're going to talk about brains for a minute. Here's a picture of a brain. It's a nice colorful one. My local library lets you print things, and it's really nice because you can print it in color if you go to the special room. So like first I printed up all my pictures in black and white, and they were still cool. Like I was still going to use them, but these actually have color, you know, and it comes across. So, you know, kudos. I have a good library. We have a good library. Libraries are wonderful, okay? So yeah, the human brain anatomy, that's what this one is. So it's, you know, I mean, it's just general. Basically, it's breaking it down. Let's see. This is the front, this is the back, right? That's your little brain stem. Parietal lobes are kind of, well, I'm not even going to try. It's been so long. But frontal lobes, you know, that's the one right in the front. It makes sense. Temporal, by your temples, right? So you got your temporal lobes. And I guess parietals are more like on the side, not in the back. That's the occipital. You guys don't want to know all that. Just, it's interesting. The point in this picture is that different parts of the brain control different functions throughout the body and throughout the mind. When they're doing mind control, they focus a lot on the frontal temporal area. Okay? Just a little FYI. Beautiful, isn't this thing? My goodness. I'm like turning into one of those weird people. It's beautiful. It is, though. It's cool. Like, I just, you know, once you learn this stuff, you marvel at how wonderfully we're made. Like, our brains can do all that. You never think of it. You're just like, oh, I'm me. But you're you because of these. Okay, so I pause from the brain for a minute. I want to show you a picture of, it's the body, and it's in 3 different forms. This picture I could not get in color. I'll go back and redo it because I think it would do justice to see this in color. But tell me if you understand this, you smarties. I know you're smart. I know you are. We are. Talking about brains, we're smart. We all got one. All right, see this picture? This is the human body in 3 different forms. Okay, this one in the middle, this one is the flesh and blood, the bones kind of outline, you know, of the body. That's what we're used to seeing. Like when you take anatomy and physiology, that's usually what they show you in class. That's what you go over right away. So that's what we focus on too, I think, as a society, is the flesh and bones, right? Because that's what we can see. We're very physical. And we haven't been taught much, at least I think regular people, as a society, we haven't talked much about the other part of the human body that also makes it up. On the subatomic level, okay, so you know that the human body at its, like, if you were to look at it under a microscope, you know, you would see cells, and then the cells are made of subatomic stuff, blah, 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 atoms, right? Okay, so the body in its smallest, not smallest per se, but yeah, smallest form, okay? Let me look at this picture again so I can make sure that I'm explaining it. Okay, okay, what I think, So here's the flesh and blood guy in the middle. And then this one, I believe, is a representation of the nervous system, electrical. That looks like electricity pulsing through. To me, it does, and that's what I think this picture was trying to convey, you know, that the human body also has electricity in it. That's why if your heart is giving you problems, right? Oh, my heart aches. Mine doesn't, but I'm just saying, if it does, you go to the hospital or the clinic and you would get an EKG. EKG stands for electrical, and then cardio, right, for the heart. A little, you know, here's a half one because I don't have both my hand. You know, electrical, cardio, and then gram is how they measure it, right? And that's because the body and the heart have electricity in it. Okay, now this guy at the end, this figure at the end, I think what this is referring to, and for this purpose, this is what we're going to say. Okay, this is the body operating off of frequencies. Okay, frequencies. Oh boy, now I love talking about it, but let me make sure I'm explaining it to you right. Frequency is how our body operates off of frequencies. Frequency is a form of a wave, right? And our bodies operate off them. Our bodies and our minds operate off of frequencies. For instance, each organ pulses at a certain frequency. If it's not on that frequency, if it's higher or below, or, you know, it will not function as it's supposed to, because as the way we're made, we're set at a certain frequency. Okay. So that's what this picture is showing. Just, I want you to think on that the body is not just like flesh and bone. It's also at a deeper level. You know, there's electrical, chemical stuff going on, right? The brain has a whole bunch of chemicals, dopamine, serotonin. That's why when people, you know, if you drink a little or you do drugs, that changes the chemical balance in your brain, right? It's changing your chemicals. Because the brain is electrical and chemical, and so is the whole body. It's also energy frequency, which we forget about this one, I think. We think of this one, flesh and bone, of course, and then we think of, you know, electrical, chemical, kind of, right? But rarely, in my opinion, have we, even when I was taking classes, I think this is more, it's a science, but I think they focus more on this, like more in the different field of science. When you're going to school for your basic medical classes, I guess at the community college, even for nursing or whatever, you take the basic science courses, which teach you about these first two, flesh and blood, and the electrical chemical portion of the body, human body, but rarely, if ever, do you talk about this. I don't know, I don't remember covering that chapter. And it's fascinating because that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Remember, I'm a layman. I am no expert by any means. I do have a general sense of how this works, and I'd like to relay it to you and how it works in relation to mind control, because it plays a big role. I want to share with you a quote by Tesla. Tesla said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Okay, so remember that, and we'll talk more later about energy, but we're gonna dig into, well, we're gonna dig into it all right now. But Tesla was a very smart man, and if you want to find out the secrets of the universe, he was right. Think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Just remember that. So you understand that you have a brain, and it's a living, breathing organ, right? And I don't need to show you the picture again. And that brain also runs off of frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies to be exact. Just show you again. Emphasis, right? Repetition for emphasis. EMF equals electromagnetic frequencies. Electromagnetic frequencies. The human brain operates off of them. It does. And I'm going to tell you how, because a frequency is, I give you some examples. I wrote some down and I'll show you so you can see for yourself. Okay. EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, come in different forms and they can have different verbiage. You know, that's why language is very important when you're studying things, because some things are interchangeable. So EMF stands for, again, electromagnetic frequencies. Frequency is used to measure energy, right? So like with electricity, frequency, radio frequency, right? RFs, RFIDs, that's radio frequency identification. That's what's in our debit cards. That's what's in when you go to the store and use the register, when you swipe your card. You know, your key, like a key fob, that's all RFID, radio frequency ID identificate. But frequency is the key word here, frequencies. Also, another word for it could be signals, right? These are transmitting signals. Another word for frequency could be a wave, right? Oh, goodness. Just a wave. That could be another way to refer to it. Like a lot of times if you see the readout of an electromagnetic frequency from the brain or the heart, it looks like a wave, right? A little squiggly up and down type of wave pattern. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so, and then frequency. So all these words are interchangeable. And hang on, let me take a look. They're invisible but powerful. See, that's the thing about this EMFs. Electromagnetic frequencies. Frequencies are invisible, but they're very powerful. Most things in the world run off of frequencies, including the human brain runs off of frequencies. I'll show you a picture to better illustrate. You know, you can get kind of an idea. This helped me out, so we'll show you too. See what you think. Okay, you see that? That's a human brain, and that's you know, that's frequency, I believe. Yeah, so you get it. It's not just there's stuff going on up there, stuff, thoughts, and all that. And thoughts, here's how it comes together. So every thought, every single thought, from the littlest to the biggest, to the math equations, to something small. What do I want for dinner? You know, do I want pickles on that or not? Do I want a Sprite or a Coke? You know, do you want to make your appointment for Tuesday or Wednesday or next week or next month? Where am I going on vacation? You know, these are all thoughts. And as humans, we have lots of thoughts pretty much every waking moment. Even when we're sleeping, you know, dreams are a form of thoughts. Yes, right? So here's the key, and this is where this ties in, that every single thought that anyone ever thought of, every thought, little to big, you know, so Tesla's thoughts, and you know, that physicist's thoughts, and the person you went to school with thoughts, and your you know, your parents' thoughts, and your families and your friends. Every time they think a thought by anyone ever, it can be measured as an EMF, an electromagnetic frequency. Every thought ever thought all the time by anyone is an electromagnetic frequency. Okay? Pretty amazing, right? I just thought they were up there just churning like a little hamster or something, just just turning his little wheel or something. No, it's so the brain is electrical chemical. It's an organ first, right? And it works electrochemically, you know. So each time you think a thought, it has to travel with the synapses, and it does stuff up there. It does. And when you do a thought, it gives off a signal that can be read out by something called an EEG. We talked about the EKG for your heart. The EEG is for your head. That stands for electrical. There's that word again, because electric is a form of energy, frequency, right? Anyways, EEG stands for electrical And Salaf, oh my goodness, this would happen on tape, wouldn't it? Ooh, okay, electrical encephalo. Encephalo is the word for head. Yes, so the brain. Electroencephalo and then gram, again, to measure, right? Cardiogram, EKG, echocardiogram, EEG, electroencephalogram. There you go. You're measuring the electrical activity in the brain, or you're measuring the electrical activity in the heart. But for this purpose, we're talking brain. Okay, so the brain operates on electromagnetic frequencies. You can also call them waves. You can also call them signals. Whatever you call them, the brain operates on them. Okay? Just to give a little picture, maybe here's what the brain would look like. Deep in thought. Look at all that electromagnetic activity, right? Maybe this person's studying for a big exam or something. Art, or the artist interpretation. I don't know. But pretty. I don't know if you guys can get the full effect of how pretty this one is. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So the brain, the human brain, operates off of electromagnetic frequencies. Also, a lot of other things run off of electromagnetic frequencies. For instance, I'll show you a picture. Radio waves. Radio waves. Isn't there a song about like radio waves? Something? Radar love or radio waves. So I'm getting them mixed up. Anyways, there's been songs about this. Rightly so, because radio waves are electromagnetic waves that travel at the speed of 186,000 miles per second. So yeah, basically it's just saying that radio, operates off of waves, RFs, radio frequencies. Frequencies are also interchangeable with the word waves. Also another way to picture frequencies is, well, forget that for now. Some other examples of electromagnetic frequencies are, I'll show you a little picture. I told you this was going to be like a little picture session. Aren't you happy though? Because then you don't have to stare at my mug for the whole time. And we want to get this point across. So electromagnetic waves, they're different sources, right? They're different things that have electromagnetic waves. For instance, radio waves at the very top, we just spoke about that. That's like when you turn on your radio, you get the broadcast, that's operating off of radio waves from the tower, right? Bing, bing, bing. Just picture that, right? It's invisible. You can't like see the waves, but you know you're there because you get the they're there because you get the radio broadcast. TV signals, right? Especially nowadays. The electricity runs the actual, the TV, but you need the signal, the frequency, digital frequency, to come through, broadcast, ding, 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 to give you the actual program, right? That's frequency, electromagnetic frequencies. Okay, what else? We got microwaves. Yeah, that's right, your little microwave that you warm up your stuff in and you make popcorn and all that kind of stuff, and you don't want to make dinner, you pop in one of those frozen things and it's piping hot like in 10 minutes. That's microwaves. And it's literally because the waves that run it are little compared to the other kind of waves. That's out of my, understanding. But they're small. That's why they're called micro. Micro, small, macro, big. So microwaves is what your microwaves run on. Okay, infrared rays, light, ultraviolet rays, and X-rays. Those are all examples of waves, electromagnetic frequencies. These things all run, there's even some pictures here they kindly included for us. Look at it, what do they got here? Yeah, radio, TV, cell phones, X-ray machine, etc., etc. Microwave. So what this is saying is that all these things run on electromagnetic frequencies. And as we just got through showing you all those brain pictures, our human brain also runs on electromagnetic frequencies because every thought that anybody has ever thought ever or ever will think ever can be measured in electromagnetic frequency, which also runs. Oh, another thing that electromagnetic frequencies run is Wi-Fi, right? That's how we're getting signal to be able to do this cool thing right now, is through Wi-Fi. Just show you one last picture here, give you an idea of how this works. See, that is the human brain and, you know, artist's interpretation, and it operates like a antenna, basically. We have an antenna in here. That means an antenna means it can transmit signals, waves, frequencies, EMFs, and it can receive frequencies, waves, EMFs, same thing. It can receive them. It can send them. It can receive them because it works on that, right? Well, excuse me, sending, it can receive, it makes, the brain makes, every time you think a thought, that is an electromagnetic frequency. See? That can be read out. It can also, the brain can also receive a signal from an electromagnetic frequency. So just picture that, your brain's a giant antenna as you're walking around. Kind of cool. Let me straighten up my papers here and then we're going to talk about the next step. I think you guys understand that, so, and that's good. Pretty simple, right? Every thought is an EMF, electromagnetic frequency. Okay. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So here's where it gets really interesting. Basically, there exists, and this is not a secret anymore. It never really was per se, because if somebody knows something, even one person, it's no longer a secret, right? Okay. And at this point, a lot of people know about it. It's also on access on the internet. You can Google it. You can buy a book on it. So it's not a secret, okay? But it's interesting nonetheless. There exists technology, satellite-based technology, that can read EMFs given off by the human brain and can also imitate those EMF thoughts. Yeah, so can read and imitate the EMFs from the human brain. Okay. That's where we're at. How did we get there? It just didn't start there, because that's a pretty amazing feat. You have to take a journey there. You just didn't, you know, boop, one day we learned how to do this. It was a process. So, and if you understand the process a little bit, you can understand how we got to where we're at today, which is an amazing time to be alive. It's amazing, to say the least. All right, so I'm going to talk about some bull. A bull. The story of the bull. Let me show you the picture so we can all get on track here. Da-da-da. There you go. That's a bull. Now, with the bull in the ring is a neuroscientist by the name of Jose Delgado. He was from Yale University. You know, Yale is one of the Ivy Leagues. Smart people go there, right? And I think you have to have a little bit of connections too. That probably helps. But yeah, so this guy, he knows his stuff. Jose Delgado. I think it's that one. Yeah. And there's the infamous bull experiment. Let me explain to you what the infamous bull experiment is, because this is important in mind control. In 1958, a Yale neurosurgeon, Jose Delgado, showcased his famous bull experiment using a remote control to control the body movements of a live bull. He did this by implanting electrodes. There's that word again, right? You see it, electricity? That's the same one. It's the same root word. Electricity is a form of energy. So he's saying, what they're saying is Dr. Delgado implanted electrodes in the brains of animals, allowing him to control bodies and minds. He wrote a book called Physical Control of the Mind in a Psycho-Civilized Society. This was back in, he was around in 58, I guess. Not sure what year he published the book, but apparently he wrote a book. I might put that on my reading list, see what he had to say. He would know, right? He was a pioneer in this field. It's good to get his input, point of view, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. Okay, so that was one famous doctor, the bull experiment. He implanted electrode, they did surgery on the bull, planted electrodes inside the brain, and got into the ring with the bull, that same bull that had the electrodes inside, and the bull went to, you know, do what bulls do. What do bulls do? Well, they charge. They're bulls. They don't mean to, but they're bulls. Dr. Jose Delgado had a remote control attached, you know, connected to the electrodes inside the bull's brain, and when the bull started to charge, he boop, pushed a little button. The bull stopped mid, you know, charge, and he stopped. Why is that? Because the mind controls the body, right? Like when soldiers go to war and they lose the ability, they lose an arm or a leg, then they can get a prosthetic one, then they can get a little chip put in, and then the chip sends the signal to the limb, wherever it's at, and it can move it. That's based on the same premises of signals, okay? So Jose Delgado did a lot of research in this, and he found that out. So very important research. I'm going to mention, hold on a moment. Hold on one moment. There's something I want, okay, there's a couple of things I want to share with you. Okay, well, besides Jose Delgado, there was other people, obviously, that have contributed to the development of mind control research. And another notable doctor was a Michael Persinger, who created something called the God helmet. The God helmet uses EMFs to give normal people an LSD type of experience just from wearing it. So I don't think I would want that myself, but it exists. And the point is that just by, it's, you know, EMF manipulation. If you put on a helmet and it, you know, activates certain parts of your brain, right? We've seen that picture, all the different parts, the frontal, the temporal, occipital, parietal. If you, you know, pulse on certain parts of that, you can produce different reactions and behaviors, right? Experiences, sensory input, output, excuse me, input. So the God helmet, Dr. Michael Persinger created that. Also, let's see what else. There is also a helmet called, I'm not sure if Michael Persinger created this, but it does exist. It's called the Thought Helmet, and it gives actual people the ability to broadcast back and forth to each other. This was originally experimented with soldiers, so they have the ability to telepathically, through their EMFs, right? Because that's sending a signal. They can telepathically broadcast back and forth to each other using EMFs that the brain naturally produces. So, because every thought by anyone ever is an EMF, or can be, yeah, is an EMF. Excuse me, I just want to check one more thing here. You know, I think we're going to leave off there. I think this is a good place to leave off. We're almost at an hour, and if you're still with me, God bless you. We've gotten through this, huh? Let me just look at my notes here. Yeah, I think we're good. I just want to show you one last picture here, because we're going to discuss some more about how EMFs, remember, because we were at the point talking about how electromagnetic frequencies is what the brain uses when it thinks thoughts, and also other things, mostly everything electronic, TV, radio, Wi-Fi, cell phones, microwaves, etc., also run off of EMFs. So you understand that technology. That's pretty much the basics of it. Just know that exists, and that's how it can also be manipulated. Okay. right? Because if the brain can receive signal, it can make signals, and it can receive signals, that means all you have to do is send your brain, the brain, whomever's, a signal, right? Signals are easy to create. The radio does it all the time. They broadcast, right? You'll be driving on a country road way out nowhere, and you still get a radio signal. Is it magic? No, I don't like that word, but you know, is it by chance? No, it's an actual signal broadcasting through, right? Same thing with the TV. You can be way out in the country in nowhere's land, and yet you can still get your favorite station. How is that? You know, just by chance? No. Excuse me, and my nose is a little runny. That's not by chance. That is from the existence of frequencies, which the brain, the human brain itself, and the body operate off of frequencies, which again, we're not taught that much about it, but it's a fact. So it's good to know. It's a fact that's good to know. We'll leave off on, we spoke about Dr. Delgado and the bull, where this was back, right? This research has been going on for many years. He used a remote control. I'm going to show you a picture just for a visual cue. He used a remote control and implanted electrodes in the bull's head. And when the bull got ready to charge, he pushed his little boop, and the bull stopped. And that is when they knew. And if you watch, I would encourage you to watch videos, and maybe even if you're feeling extra researchy, maybe go read the book by Dr. Delgado. I don't know. Yeah, you do a review for me. You do a summary on that. Oh, that would be nice. You have to get permissions and stuff, you know, whatnot, or just, you know, be aware. But yeah, that would be nice to know. That would be, because he did a lot of work. So a pioneer in it, really. He was able to create mind control. You know, he was a start of it. So, and it goes further than that, obviously, but now you're caught up to the 1960s. They were able to do this with a remote control back in the 1960s. We're, you know, how many decades later? So you can imagine we're a lot further than that. But for tonight, for this purpose, I think we're good. I think we covered a lot of stuff. I think you understand in general how EMFs work, electromagnetic frequencies. I told you that as far as creating an MK slave, that would be one of the things that technology-wise that would be utilized is the manipulation of electromagnetic frequencies. And you can tap into the human brain with that. So we're going to leave off right now. You like I said, you have the general idea, and that's all you need to know for now. But it definitely, there's more, much more. It's always more, right? We're humans, our brains. That's what makes it so wonderful. You know, there's a Bible scripture that talks about how humans have the desire to live forever, to infinity, you know? And it's true, because, you know, nobody would ever want to leave civilization if you didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like, we have forever in our hearts and our minds, right? So, so it's fascinating, really, that we're capable of, the brain is just so, you know, can sustain us and give us just how we're made. It is amazing. And it's getting late. I'm rambling, and I don't like to do that. Bear with me a moment. I want to look at my notes, and then we're finishing up. We'll be done in 5 minutes. For those of you who stayed and watched the whole thing, thank you. I know your time is valuable. I thank you. I think of that. Sometimes I watch YouTube videos, and I'm like, man, I sat there and watched that thing that whole hour, you know? Like, whew. And I usually hit the like button. I do. Usually. Unless, like, the person said something offensive, which is rare. I've rarely not hit the like button, you know? But, yeah, it's an investment to sit down and watch a video, you know, so you hope that you learn something when the video's done. I hope that you did. You did, right? We're going to recap. Let me recap briefly. Okay, let me get it together. I'll show you a picture. Look, this should be the little intern picture. While I'm looking, I'll just show this. So you get the idea. There you go. Okay, yep, it's all about this. You heard the song, It's All About the Benjamins, baby. I don't know, that's probably my age group, you know. That song was really popular. It's all about the Benjamins, baby, meaning money. Benjamin Franklin's on, I think that's what they were talking about. Yeah, that's what we took it as. Benjamin Franklin's on the back of your money, you know. So it's all about money, or, you know, having money to buy things, right? But really, no, you could change that song nowadays and say it's all about the brain, baby. It ain't about the Benjamins, it's about the brain. So, let's see. Okay, we talked about mind control, behavioral modification, how it's the same thing, right? The goal of making a mind control slave, examples of mind control slaves, like the, you know, the super soldier ones, or the sex ones, or the spy ones, all different kinds of mind control slaves, depending on what they're needed for, right? You don't ever want to become a mind control slave, right? No, you don't. Let's see, the process of making one, how it includes psychological trauma-based conditioning, also ritual abuse, such things as sensory management, flooding or depriving the senses, right? Too much light, too much noise, not able to move, this, that, you know, not good stuff. And then we talked about the role of technology. That's where we left off on. The role of technology in making a mind control slave. And just again for emphasis, that is possible because, remember, the brain operates off of electromagnetic frequencies. So, and so does many other things in this world, such as the computer, Wi-Fi, cell phones, radio, TV, etc. Mostly, you know, microwaves. A lot of things operate off of that, including our brains. So if you would, in the process of making a mind control slave, you would use that same technology that the brain operates off of, the electromagnetic frequencies, and you would manipulate it. How would you do that? You could send in things, right, to mess with the frequencies. And say, for instance, it takes a certain frequency to move your arm. Right? I did it quickly, but my brain had to send the signal to my arm to move, right? Because like when people have a stroke, that part of their brain doesn't send the signal anymore, so they can think all they want, but it won't, you know, move the part. Sad. But you know, working brain, it's connected with the body. I think, move my arm moves. Okay, that's good if I think it, right? I thought it, it's my arm, I want to move it. You know, same thing with your legs, it's my leg, I want to move it, etc., etc. In making a mind control slave, that could be a very bad thing, because technically if a signal was sent in to move your body, it could be sent in not from you. You get it? Rabbit hole runs deep, people, real deep. But that's the basics. The mind runs off of electromagnetic frequencies, EMFs. If you can manipulate the EMFs, you can manipulate the mind. We'll leave off. That was it. You guys got it. You're smart. And it's simple. You know, this is simple summaries. This is nothing too extravagant. This is not information that's, you know, only limited or available for limited time. No, it's there. It's good information to know. You know, just got to dig a little bit deeper sometimes, which is why when people write interesting books, it's nice to do summaries. So if anybody wants to share summaries with me, I want to see them. If you want to share, you know, depending on what it is, I'm into nonfiction, learning type of books, but other stuff too, I'm willing. But mostly nonfiction learning stuff. I want to learn something, right? Okay, but I do like movies and things like that. So it's not that I don't like, you know, a good story or something. Just with my books, I like it very informational. At this point in my life. Okay, we'll leave off. I want to just tell you guys one more thing. You've been so good. I'll just leave you with this, okay? This is a Bible scripture. It says, it's in Isaiah 41:10. This is a really, really good one. It's very comforting considering all the things that we discussed and that, you know, what's going on. You know, you need some encouragement and some love. Okay? And this is a loving scripture. It says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So, there he says it. In this world of the capabilities of what they are with mind control, which is really your free will, these are some, you know, what does the scripture say? Tough times, hard to deal with, but we're not cramped. Although we're hard pressed in every direction, we're still not stopped. We're still, I can't quote the whole thing, but you know, those scriptures come to mind, and those people, you know, we're also living in hard times too, you know, and we've, in general, I would say our society here, we've had some really peaceful, great times. That doesn't mean that's always guaranteed. Doesn't mean it's not, but it doesn't mean that it is. So it's just always good to know, you know, that we should fear not, because our God is the true God, is with us, and he will strengthen us and he will help us. And I believe this is one of the ways that we can help each other, is to share knowledge when we have it, just in the form of a book summary. I know this was an hour-long one, and I'm not going to talk anymore. We're done. We're done. We're done. Get out of here. No. Get out of here. No, I'll let you. We all have to get on with our lives here. And I'll be working on part 4. Yeah, oh, I wasn't finished. No, we're not finished. I did a summary of 4 chapters of this book, of Mr. Hall's book. So that was chapter 2 we just finished with. There's still a few more sections from chapter 2 that we might go over, but those are pretty deep, so I might not, but we'll see. Either way, there's a couple other chapters that I will be going over. So yeah, so look forward to those. I look forward, if you like this, I liked having you. This was wonderful. And come in again, right? Let's do this again sometime. Call me. Okay? And then if you have stuff, I want to see your stuff too. If you got books, or even if you talk about movies and everything, you know, it's interesting. Right? Right. The power of the broadcast. EMFs. Favorite word. All right. Love you guys. Stay strong, stay smart, and God loves you. Okay? Good night. Oh, how about I press the right button? Good night.